Hey, welcome back to the studios. Dr. David Klein, he is our resource when it comes to all things medical for not only the Resource Hour, but all the other things involved with the Rob Newton companies. And today we're going to talk about something that you've been hearing about since you were a little kid. When you first turned on the TV and you were watching the wonderful cartoons when you were growing up, whatever it was, you heard the cereal commercials come on. And the end of the cereal commercial would always say, your recommended daily allowance of whatever. And you were getting a quarter allowance from your dad. You really didn't understand what any of this was. And all of our lives, we still hear, I'm 62, and I'm still hearing that if I eat this, and this, now the pyramid has changed every now and then, but I'm getting my recommended daily allowance of... Doc, what are we talking about? Well, I'm still getting a quarter from my dad.
Well, it was fiction then, and it's fiction now. Okay, so what happened with the RDAs, or recommended daily allowances? This was the government, our friends, our dear friends in Washington, trying to put together something to protect you from yourself, coming up with ideas, okay, that had nothing to do with reality and everything to do with fantasy. And so what they did was they selected a variety of nutrients to try to sit down and decide in wartime what we had to give our troops in order to keep them healthy. So what was a recommended daily allowance of protein, a recommended daily allowance of vitamin B12, vitamin D, vitamin E? This was all long before we even recognized that many of these things that we thought were vitamins aren't vitamins at all. They're hormones or prohormones. We found that these things were a mistake, yet they have stuck around like so many warts. In very many ways, it's kind of like the herpes of medical science. Okay, it comes and never really quite goes away. Now, oddly enough, and you know, it's going to work something like this. There are going to be a lot of people out there listening right now thinking, this Klein, he's full of something feculent. But I will call one thing to your attention, and that's to look at the RDA list. And you're going to see three numbers. Everything's either 100, 400, or 500. You think that's a coincidence? No, it's because they pulled these numbers right out of their collective cloaca, okay, right out of their rear ends, their spineless rear ends. Okay, so what's this all about? They pulled the numbers out of thin air. Now, if vitamin D, in particular vitamin D3, were necessary at a 400 IU dosage, then why is it that 60%, 70% of our population is deficient in vitamin D3? Well, you know, if you measure it in the bloodstream, you find out that it's not there. They really couldn't do that back in the day. The same thing is true of vitamin B12. The same thing is true of vitamin B1. The same thing is true of these minerals when they did not have the analytical capability of even detecting how much was in your bloodstream until relatively recently. So the RDA is a joke. Okay, now, there are some things that you do need to know. Okay, one of which is there's certain nutrients, certain supplements that can be toxic. One in particular is vitamin A. So you got to be careful not to take too much vitamin A because, after all, it's a lipid-soluble vitamin. This is something you're going to hear. But what about vitamin D? There is no toxicity, and it's not even a vitamin. So what you were taught as a kid, by Mrs. Jones in 6th grade, happened to be wrong. Okay, vitamin D is a hormone. It's not a vitamin. Yes, it's lipid-soluble, and nobody has ever gotten sick from taking too much vitamin D3. Therefore, you have to reevaluate in your own mind's eye what you need to do. Vitamin E. Oddly, there are 6 of them that are important. Could be more, actually, but 6 big ones. Okay, 400 IUs is the RDA. Of which one? Okay, there are 6. They're all different. Okay, they're all different. Once you get past about 800 IUs of the collective vitamin E's, there's a risk of increased hip fracture. So you have to be careful with vitamin E. But after that, if you take in too much vitamin C, it ends up in your urine. The vitamin B's, same kind of a thing. Very, very rarely in the history of mankind has anybody gotten sick from taking too much vitamin B complex. So is it wasteful? It might be. So what are we looking at with the RDA? Now, let's take a compound like Inositol, which is one of my current favorite things to research. It's in the B complex, but it's really not a vitamin. Go figure, it's a carbohydrate. So it's a glucose analog. Now you're going to think, well, gee, why do we want inositol if I have problems with sugar? Won't this make it worse? The answer is no, it does exactly the opposite. Inositol is an obligate B vitamin. Your body uses it for energy transfer. So actually, you lose weight with inositol. We have found that it's an antidepressant in certain concentrations in certain forms. So you have to look at these things sort of with a questioning eye at this point. How much sense does this make? Does it make any sense at all? And the answer is really no to both. It doesn't make any sense, but you do need to understand that if you take too much zinc, it's bad for you. If you take too much selenium, it's poisonous. Too much calcium, hard to do, but you can do it, may cause you some kidney stone issues. Too much magnesium, cardiac issues. So you look at these recommended daily allowances, but they will, in fact, snap back to bite you. Why is it that if we ask somebody to look at an RDA on vitamin B12, okay, which might be about 400 to 500 micrograms, okay, and we tell them to take 5,000, okay, is that going to do any damage? The answer is really no, it doesn't.
Well, again, it goes back to something that we discussed yesterday. And as people set out and venture about and they see this RDA on all these products, how do they really know what's real? I mean, is there a place they can go? Is there some research they can do? This is one of them. I know that.
Well, hopefully we're not wasting our time.
Oh, no.
You know,
I mean, it's crazy because you got to feel sorry for the people out there. They don't know. They're buying this type of food. They're building this type of pyramid for their kid, and then they find out that coffee's good for you, coffee's bad for you. Glass of wine a day is good for you, glass of wine is bad for you. You know, we're kind of at the mercy to a whole bunch of people who don't seem to know what they're doing, but advertising agencies are making millions.
Oh, yeah, and they seem to be about the only one they seem to be the only ones making out in this. The insurance companies as well. So when you look at the advertisements for the products, if it's a single-use medication, okay, so you'll see things for certain vegetables, vegetable concentrates, it'll do everything but turn your eyes red. Are you with me? Very, very expensive.
Oh, the Newton Superfood.
You got
take
it.
that tablet in the morning, you'll feel better all day.
If it says super, it probably is not. Okay, that's the first thing. So you have to understand that everything works in moderation. You can't make up for an omega-3 fatty acid deficiency by taking an herb. It isn't going to work. There are some things that'll operate in one particular environment but won't work in another. So let's say that you're taking vitamin D. Okay, very, very important compound. It's a cholecalciferol. It's a hormone, really. Okay, but you don't take it with oil. If you don't take it with oil, it doesn't get absorbed. Why waste your time? Why waste your money if you're not going to take it properly? So a recommended daily allowance is something that you need to watch. It's something that you need to pay attention to, but it's something that you need to understand as a cheat sheet that serves very, very little, if any, function. So an RDA for zinc, as an example, is probably a good one. Okay, if you're taking zinc oxide, you'd think you're doing okay. You need your 30 to 50 milligrams of zinc. Zinc oxide doesn't get absorbed. Calcium carbonate doesn't get absorbed. Calcium oxide, magnesium carbonate, magnesium oxide. All of these things are non-absorbable forms of these minerals. Yet if you read the RDA on the side of the bottle, it says that they are. So if you believe everything that you read, sucks to be you. Okay, so who and where do you go? Well, we're here for a reason. I'm doing the best that I can to educate. One thing I've learned through life, though, is you can teach, but you can't learn for people. You can teach them. It's up to you to learn. That does, in fact, require some effort on your part.
You know, and I go back to what I said a few minutes ago. There are ads that beat you to death, and then there are well-respected national hosts of radio shows, TV shows, celebrities who come on and say, I couldn't get through the day without my blah, 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 blah superfood, whether it be a beet or a banana or a green bean or whatever else they say is in that thing.
And as soon as the commission check goes away, so does the endorsement. Imagine how that works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that is what you need to understand. Okay, a beet is a beet, a potato is a potato, a turnip is a turnip. Okay, you don't need somebody to process it for you and charge you a lot of money to do it. But I'll tell you what, you can't get blood out of a turnip, and you can't necessarily get good health out of a beet. You need your minerals in the appropriate form. your vitamins in the appropriate form, essential carbohydrates, essential amino acids. They're not going to be obtainable from any single food. That's why they make grocery markets, for God's sake. If there was only one vegetable that you would need, there'd only be one vegetable there. If there were only one tomato ketchup, there'd only be one brand. The fact of the matter is everybody has a different need. That is what you need to pay attention to.
All right, and you can find a lot of great information at stagesoflife.net. Robin, can you give us all the contact information that we need to connect?
All right, our phone number is 407-679-3337, and our website is stagesoflife.net. We're located in Longwood at 1917 Booth Circle. That's right off of I-4 and 434. And let's see, our office hours are Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5. The health store that Rob mentioned with all of our nutraceuticals is open during those office hours, but we're also on the web, as I said, at stagesoflife.net, and you can purchase your nutraceuticals at your leisure, and we will ship them to you.